All right, guys, I told you I was going to pop up a second video, a second video because you have the recordings from earlier today. But this video is going to go through and finish out the rest of the problems on the arithmetic sequences note sheet. So this is actually going to be the video for both my 8th and 9th hour classes. So 8th hour, you might be looking at this going, that's not the color she used. You're right, it's what I used for my 9th hour class. So we did all this front page here, we got down here, we did all this fun stuff. I'm actually going to pick up problem number 2 here and start working with this one. So problem number 2 says I am supposed to find the sum of the first 15 terms. So as soon as I see that first 15 terms there, I know that n is going to equal 15. Okay, and because we're dealing with a sum, I know I need u sub 1 and I need u sub 15. So I'm going to keep reading my little problem here, and my problem says the arithmetic sequence of 2, 9, 16. All right, so I know 2 is my start, so u sub 1 is 2, but I only have 3 terms here. So that means I don't know my u sub 15, and if I don't know u sub 15, I'm not going to be able to find the sum. So what I need to do is I'm going to do this off to the side here, change color. Off to the side here, I am going to find u sub 15. And the way I'm going to find it is by using this nifty little formula right here. All right, so u sub n, in this case 15, is equal to u sub 1, which was 2, plus n in this case is 15, so 15 minus 1 times d. Now, I don't have a d value right now, but I can quickly figure it out. To get from 2 to 9, I need to add 7. 9 to 16, I'm going to add 7 as well. And that means my d value is 7. So let's see what we've got here. I'm just going to put this whole thing in my calculator as it's written and let my calculator do all the work for me. And that tells me that u sub 15 is 100. All right, so now I know that this is 100. So now I can go back and using these 3 pieces of information, I can actually find my sum. So the sum of the first 15 terms of this sequence, you're going to do the number of terms divided by 2 times your first term plus your last term. So again, this is a place where I have my calculator literally sitting right next to me. So if you need to do the same thing, or if you are working with Calculate 84, split screen it, bounce out of this, whatever you need to do. Okay? So that's problem number 2 there. In class, both of my classes, 8th and 9th hour, you both did problem number 3 here. So that one's all done. 833 was our final answer. All right. Okay, so now we have problem number 4 here. Arithmetic sequence with initial terms. Let's see what we've got here. So u sub 1 is equal to, clearly that's 60 to start with. Let's see if I do that. I'm getting a value, my d value, I'm going to kind of keep this off to the side here. D is 120. All right, if I add 120 each time, that's what gets me from one term to the next. So that's my common difference. So let's see, I need 48 terms. So u sub 48 is equal to, I don't know yet. And it's asking me to find the sum. So there's going to be 48 terms in this sum. So I am going to take a little side trip over here and figure out what u sub 48 is. So I need my first term. That's 60 plus 48 minus 1 times my common difference. That's going in a calculator real quick. All right. And let's see what we get here. That is a substantially large number. 5,700 is the 48th term in the sequence. Now using that information, so 48th term here is 5,700. So this is the sum of 48, right? Sum of 48 terms. So we've got 48 terms divided by 2, your first term of 60 plus your last term of 5,700. 100% calculator. All right. There's really no part of this test where you are going to be asked to try to do something without a calculator, so fear not about that. There's a comma right there, so let's see, 138,240. Sure, that sounds like a good sum for that sequence there. All right. Let's see, number 5. Number 5 looks basically like the same thing as number 4, so let's go ahead and attack it the same way. Sum first 20 terms, so n is going to equal 20, u sub 1 is equal to, well, my first term is 5, and u sub 20 is, I don't know. So I got to find that. So off to the side, really quick kind of side note here, I change colors a lot when I'm doing these problems, just kind of FYI. Let's see, so u sub 20 is going to equal my first term plus 20 minus 1 times d, which would be 4 in this case. So 5 plus 20 minus 1 times 4, and I am getting 81 there. So that tells me that my 20th term is 81. So back to finding the sum of the first 20 terms. We have 20 terms over 2 times your first term plus your last term. I'm going to keep saying it. It's going in a calculator. All right. 860 is the sum for that one. All right. Now, I want to go back into problem number 6, and I want to kind of start the explanation again, especially for 8th hour. I showed you guys one way to do it. 9th hour, I showed you a different. And having shown both of them, I think I kind of like the 9th hour method. So 8th hour, my apologies. But what I'm going to do here is delete what's here. Okay. Delete that. Okay. So we know our 4th term. So I know u sub 4 is equal to 14. I know my 7th term is 2. And it says I want to find the sum of the first 12 terms. In order to find that, I need n is equal to 12, I need u1, and I need u12. So clearly I'm missing some information here. Now, one of the things I showed in 9th period was, and this is what I want to talk through again, is basically how to think about the change here like you would think about slope. All right? So if we take the change in the term values, so in this case, and I'm going to zoom in over here, all right? So in this case, I'm going to do 14 minus 2 over, and now I'm going to look at the change in my term numbers, all right? So 4 minus 7. So 14 minus 2 is 12, 4 minus 7 is negative 3. If I take 12 divided by negative 3, I get negative 4. Now, that change tells me that I have a common difference of negative 4. Okay? So that's kind of the purpose of doing that. If that makes sense to you, that's kind of how I'm going to keep trying to work with these problems. My apologies again to 8th period. I just spaced this particular process off during class today. So now that I know my common d value, I'm going to use my common d value along with u sub 4 to figure out what u sub 1 is. Okay. So again, I keep telling you guys I'm going to keep changing colors here. All right. So if I know my fourth term is 14, I do not know my first term, but I know from my first term to my fourth term, whoops, that's not supposed to be a minus. That's a equal sign there, plus. All right, let's back this up. So u sub 1 plus, there are 4 terms from term 1 to term 4. All right, minus 1 times negative 4. So 14 is equal to u sub 1 plus, I believe that is negative 12. So 3 times, yeah, negative 12. And that gets me u sub 1 is equal to 26 when I move the 12 to the other side of the equation. So there is u sub 1. Okay. Now that I know u sub 1 and I have my d value, it's going to be pretty nice and easy to find u sub 12. So using 26, right, from term 1 to term 12, there are 12 terms, same common difference. So u sub 12 is equal to, all right, 26 plus 12 minus 1 times negative 4, negative 18. All right, all that work, and we're still not done. It's going to end eventually. It has to, all right? So the sum of the first 12 terms is equal to 12 over 2 times your first term, 26, plus your last term, negative 18. Into a calculator it goes. 26 minus, no, plus negative 18. Don't put a double negative in there. All right, so I'm getting 48 here. And I'm a pretty happy camper with that. All right. So I'm going to try and do one more of these. Maybe I'll figure out the other two. Yeah, I think I got enough time. I'm trying not to make the video too long. And I suppose you could skip through it as you need it. All right. Second term is negative 3. So u sub 2 is negative 3. The eighth term, so u sub 8 is 33. Find the sum of the first 10 terms. All right. If I need the sum of the first 10 terms, and I guess I'll just put this over to the right side here, that would mean I need n is equal to 10, I need u sub 1, and I need u sub 10. Okay? So let's go back here, right, the two terms that are given to us, and using the idea of your difference in term divided by your difference in term number. It's basically slope, all right? Slope, remember, is a measurement of change. So that's what I'm looking for, is the change here. So if I do negative 3 minus 33, right, so term minus term, I'm going to do term number minus term number. Order doesn't matter, the same thing you guys learned in, about slope a long time ago. So what would that be? Negative 36 over negative 6 means I should have a slope here of 6. Sound good to you guys? I hope so. So my d value I now know is 6. All right. I am not going to use a full equation to find my u sub 1. I know that my u2 value is negative 3, so that means I had to have taken some number, added 6 to it, and gotten negative 3. The only way that's going to happen is if that first number was negative 9. Right? Negative 9 plus 6 would get me negative 3. You could follow the same logic and just say, well, if my eighth term is 33 and I add 6, that would get me my ninth term, 39. And then if I add 6 again, my 10th term is 45. Okay? So I'm going to write the equations if you want to see them really quickly. So if I use negative 2 is equal to u sub 1 plus 2 terms minus 1 times my common difference of 6. So that's how I could solve for u1. And then once I know U1, I can find U10 would be equal to negative 9 plus 10 minus 1 times my common difference of 6. Okay? So if you can work it out in your head, totally fine. If you need the equations or even just want to use the equations to double check what's in your brain, go for it. All right. Finally, now that we have all the bits, parts, and pieces to find the sum of the first 10 is going to equal 10 over 2 times negative 9 plus 45. All right. You guys can probably even hear my hitting the buttons on the calculator maybe. All right, I'm getting 180. So there's a sum of that first 10 terms. All right. Oh, this one's not too bad, because in this case, you're only given 2 terms, and all I'm asking for is the first term. Okay? So let's see what we've got here. 13th term is 22, so U sub 13 is 22. 20th term is 50, so U sub 20 is equal to 50. And all I want to know is what is the first term there. So let's do that little kind of slope thing of looking at our common difference. I just stack them up and go in order. You can do it in reverse order as long as you do both of them in reverse. So I'm going to do 22 minus 50. All right, so 22 minus 50, that's the difference in my term values. And then I'm going to do the difference in my term numbers. So 13 minus 20. All right, so 22 minus 50 is negative 28, and 13 minus 20 is negative 7. So I'm getting a common difference of 4. So, and this is where you can pick either 13 or U sub 13 or U sub 20. It's not going to matter. You're still going to be able to figure out what your first term is using either of them. For giggles, I'll use U sub 13. So U sub 13 is equal to my first term plus how many terms? Well, I've got 13 terms minus 1 all times my common difference of 4 there. So 22 is equal to U sub 1 plus 13 minus 1 is 12. 12 times 4 should be 48. Do a little subtraction from both sides, and I'm getting a U sub 1 value of negative 26. I'm going to go ahead and slide that down just a touch so that you can actually see it and not see the bar of the page. So I hope this has helped a little bit, all right? I will post both the video and the page answer key so you guys can pick and choose what you want to work with. And I really hope if you have any questions, send me an email, send me a Canvas message, but get a hold of me somehow to make sure that your questions are getting answered. Thanks so much, guys.